Okay, we don't see the MSDTC warning this time, but there is a cluster warning. Okay, this is fine. Network binding, there is a warning on network binding. Okay, this is fine. So click next. Next. Now we are going to install database engine. Okay, because this is cluster aware very much, and analysis services, this is cluster aware. Reporting services, this is not cluster aware. If you select this, then it will be a installation, standalone installation on this node. Okay, this is not cluster aware, so you should not be selecting that. But if you want to use reporting services on this node, still you can select that. Okay, and these are shared features. Only one instance, one copy of this shared components will be installed on the machine. Okay, we need the SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio with complete. Okay, and what else here? Integration services, this is not cluster aware. Okay, look, click next. SQL Server network name, let us type in some network name. This will be our development SQL cluster. Okay, and this is the instance is default instance. Okay, so we can keep the default instance, and the instance ID is MS SQL Server. We can change it. If you change it, then it will be created under that ID folder. Okay, you will get this option in the failover clustering. For the standalone cluster, you won't see this option. Click next. It will install the binaries on the machine, and you can install the database files on a shareable disk. That it will show, it will give the option. Click next. Okay, this is the resource group name. Okay, here you will see the resource group name like this. Under that you will see the SQL Server network name like this. Okay, so now the resource name will be some name. You can change it. Even after installing SQL Server resource group, you can change the group name. That is a simple thing. Okay, click next. Here it is. Here it will let us select the disk, whatever the disk that we wanted to assign. Cluster disk 1. Okay, let us go to the storage. Cluster disk 1, it is 1 gigabytes. Okay, this is the SQL Server data. Okay, and this is the SQL Server logs. So we will select E and F drives for the SQL Server, which will be cluster disk 1 and cluster disk 2. So select that. IPv4. Okay, this is the SQL Server IP address. So not DHCP. Let us go to the nodes and see what IP address that we wanted to use for the SQL Server. 115. Okay, 192.168.1.115. and our subnet mask will be this. Okay, this option is fine. It will use the service seeds. In Windows, if you are clustering on Windows Server 2003, then it will be using domain group, but here we have the option to select service seeds, which is recommended. Click next. Here we need to select the service accounts for the services. So I'm going to start the services meta manager /CLUADM, and this is the account that I wanted to log on for these services. And agent service, it depends on database engine. Okay, so collation you can select whatever the collation. By default it will be SQL, Latin, General, CP1 for the database, and Latin 1 General for the analysis services. But here we are not installing analysis services. Okay, we will, I think in the third or fourth nodes, here we will be installing analysis services separately in a separate resource group, not along with the SQL Server, which is generally not recommended. Nobody does installing the analysis services in the same resource group of the SQL Server. Okay, so that will share the resources, both analysis services and SQL Server services, both will share the same resource, fight for the resource. So it's better to segregate them. So we'll install analysis services in a different resource group later, but for now SQL Server, database, and management studio. Okay, click next. Mixed mode, Windows and SQL Server authentication. I'm going to add the current user as an administrator, otherwise I have to go and add that specifically. Yeah, this is fine for time being. Click next. Data directories, here you can specify whichever the directory that you wanted to install. Okay, the database root directory, log directory, user log directory, you can select F drive. Okay, because we have given F drive for this clustering setup. File stream, you can say you can enable the file stream if you want. Okay, click next. Password, this is killing me like anything. I'm not going to enable SQL Server authentication. Go ahead with Windows. Click next, and this is the summary. Here it's going to give us what are the services that it's going to install. Database engine, and replication full text automatically comes with database engine, and I'm going to install SSMS, nothing else, just these. Okay, and here it says what are the disks that it is going to use. Of course we can remove the disks later if you don't want, but I have assigned just 2 disks, one for data and one for log. And go ahead and start installing SQL Server. It will take some time. I'm going to pause the video here and I'll resume after the installation.